The federal government has a message for people who have been misinformed about crossing the southern border next week. I'm Willie James Inman in Washington with details on that message from leaders as well as alternatives for those hoping to enter the U.S.
Also tonight at 10, firefighters in Texas and California battle massive fires at industrial facilities.
And we'll break down the latest U.S. jobs report and what it says about the Fed's efforts to manage the economy. That's next on Siouxland News at 10.
Siouxland News at 10 starts now.
The second woman arrested in connection with an explosion and theft from Sioux City's Shields store last fall is pleading guilty. Thanks for joining us. I'm Katie Koppel.
And I'm Larry Wentz, and tonight that story is coming at 10 o'clock. 35-year-old Claudette Laura of Omaha entered that plea to charges of second-degree criminal mischief, third-degree arson, and fourth-degree theft as part of a plea agreement with prosecutors. She was sentenced to 18 years in prison and must serve 3 before becoming eligible for parole. She also has to pay more than $3,900 in restitution to the store, along with her co-defendant, Jessica Katz. Now, Katz of Omaha has also reached a plea deal with prosecutors. She's pleading guilty to second-degree criminal mischief and fourth-degree theft. Charge of arson against her has been dismissed. She will get probation for the criminal mischief charge and 200 days in jail for the theft when she is sentenced June 29.
The pandemic-era policy known as Title 42, which allows for the government to quickly expel migrants to prevent the spread of COVID, ends in just 6 days.
That has prompted a surge of migrants heading north, hoping to live and work in the U.S.
CBS's Willie James Inman is in Washington with what the Biden administration is doing to prepare for what they're calling a crisis.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas delivered a message to migrants hoping to enter the U.S. when Title 42 comes to an end.
The message is very clear. The border is not open, it has not been open, and it will not be open subsequent to May 11th.
The pandemic-era policy that allows the government to expel migrants to help stem the spread of COVID will expire next week. When Title 42 ends, there could be as many as 10,000 border crossings a day, nearly double the 5,200 daily average in March.
The challenges will be significant.
Officials warn anyone entering illegally will not be allowed to stay.
That, coupled with increasing in criminal prosecutions, will allow for the rule of law to prevail on our border.
To handle the increased flow, the Biden administration has increased the number of appointments migrants can set up via apps. There have also been centers set up in Central America so that migrants can avoid making the dangerous journey north.
We are reaching the people where they are. It is not only our security obligation, it is our humanitarian responsibility to cut the smugglers out.
Republicans have criticized the Biden administration for allowing Title 42 to end.
We will go back to Title 42, but most importantly, we will stop catch and release and we will start catch and deport. That is how we will get illegal immigration taken care of.
The White House says America's immigration system is broken and it's up to Congress to fix it. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Washington.
Now, individuals caught entering the country illegally will be deported, barred from re-entry for at least 5 years, and face potential criminal prosecution.
New details are emerging about a massive fire at a Shell industrial plant near Houston. According to the Harris County Sheriff's Office, the blaze is under control and poses no threat to the community. No serious injuries were reported either, but at least 5 workers were hospitalized as a precautionary measure. Preliminary information suggests it started after 2 heavy gas oils leaked from their units and caught fire, but what caused the spark is still under investigation.
Tools can be used that cause spark. There have tools they're supposed to use that don't cause that, but it's going to be part of the investigation as we're looking to find out what the sequence of events was. Was there a leak prior to the fire as being initially described?
State and county officials say they are monitoring the air quality in the area. Authorities initially said some type of explosion unfolded at the plant, but later corrected it to only a fire emergency.
More than 100 firefighters battled a massive industrial fire in Southern California this morning. It ignited just before 4 a.m. in the city of Commerce, California, near Los Angeles. The fire quickly grew, causing the roof to collapse. Flames visible from 20 miles away. Now, no injuries have been reported. The cause of that fire under investigation.
Good evening, Siouxland. Things are pretty calm and quiet out there tonight. A Woodhouse camera showing a dry I-29, but that is going to change as we head through the night tonight. So as of right now, our radar is dry here in Siouxland. There are storms out to the west, could move in, but let's talk about the rain that we've gotten from these storms so far. We have the heaviest rain so far in Dixon County all the way up to Jefferson and Union County, South Dakota, and that's the areas that picked up over an inch of rainfall from yesterday and last night. Coleridge, Nebraska, over an inch and a half, nearly inch and a half in Concord, Nebraska, 8/800ths here in Jefferson, 6/10ths in Ponca, with just under half an inch in Vermilion. Carroll picking up 3/800ths. So that was a good amount of rain for some of us. There's more on the way. I'll have details coming up.
A surprising new report out today shows employers added way more jobs than analysts expected.
Economists say it shows the labor market is heating back up despite other indicators pointing to a possible slowdown.
CNN's Patrick Cornell has a closer look at what's behind the higher than expected numbers and what it means for your bottom line.
A better than expected report on the jobs front. On Friday, the Bureau of Labor Statistics releasing new data showing the U.S. economy added 253,000 jobs in April. That's despite the slowing economy, recent banking turmoil, and the ongoing debt ceiling drama.
It means the American consumer is finally starting to get out from under the inflation shock that it's been living through for the past 2 years.
Economist Joe Brusuela says he's not surprised and says the report means more jobs and better paying jobs for Americans. The April jobs report shows the unemployment rate fell to 3.4%, tying the lowest level since 1969.
You know, when we were getting ready to go to the moon for the first time, take that giant leap for mankind, these is real historic type numbers.
And average hourly earnings rose 0.5% for April and increased 4.4% from a year ago. Economists say that's a sign that people are coming off the sidelines and into the labor market.
We're seeing labor force participation rate in this report for prime age workers finally exceed what it was before the pandemic.
Economists say the report is a sign the Fed's aggressive action to tame the overheated economy is working.
Having moderating wage growth is good for the Fed, who's trying to contain inflation.
On Wall Street, investors responding to the jobs report. On Friday, the New York Stock Exchange ending the week in positive territory. I'm Patrick Cornell reporting.
The weight loss chain Jenny Craig is going out of business after 40 years. The company made that announcement on Facebook saying, quote, "It's with a heavy heart we're announcing the closure of our business." Uncertainty surrounding its future started last week with reports that the company was alerting employees of layoffs and winding down physical operations at its nearly 500 weight loss centers in the U.S. and Canada. Jenny Craig hasn't returned any request for comment. Its website is no longer active, customers being told that all auto delivery subscriptions have been canceled, and all coaching sessions, food orders, and merchandise sales have ceased online and in corporate centers.
Coming up in 5 minutes to 9 to 10, firefighters in western Nebraska again trying to contain a fire in the Nebraska National Forest.
But first, we'll tell you where you can officially get your hands on the best burger in Iowa this year when Siouxland News at 10 returns.
A man convicted of shooting in eastern Iowa deputies facing the prospect of nearly a century behind bars. A judge has sentenced Stanley Donahue to 92 years in prison during a hearing today. Donahue will have to serve at least 40 of those years before he's even eligible for parole. Earlier this year, he was convicted of several charges, including an attempted murder for shooting Linn County Sheriff's Deputy William Halverson. Prosecutors say he shot Halverson 7 times during a gas station robbery in Cogan in 2021. He was arrested after a manhunt that lasted more than 12 hours. Halverson spent several months in the hospital, but he is back on duty.
For the first time in decades, Iowa farmers will be charged a fee for each bushel of corn, soybeans, and other grains they sell in the market. That quarter penny per bushel fee is required by state law to replenish a fund that covers losses when grain elevators and feed companies file for bankruptcy. 3 such bankruptcies in the last year have depleted the fund to the point where the state law requires the fee be charged starting July 1st. That's in order to get the fund back above $8 million. The Iowa Department of Agriculture says this will be the first time that fee has been charged since 1989.
The Iowa Beef Council has crowned this year's winner of the best burger in Iowa. It's called the Foundation, and it comes from the Flight Bar and Grill in Huxley. The business is a relative newcomer to the contest. It just opened last year. Now, they say it didn't take long for its Foundation burger, that's 2 smashed beef patties and cheddar cheese, to become a hit. Now, the Foundation beat out 10 other burgers from across Iowa to get the best burger prize.
Dozens of bats took flight at Grays Lake in Des Moines last night. They're called big brown bats, and they're common across Iowa. They spent the winter at the Iowa Wildlife Center, where they hibernated. The center's team says releasing them back into the community plays a major role in protecting wildlife and more, as well as eating lots of mosquitoes.
A fire that's been burning at the Nebraska National Forest for the past 2 days is now 80% contained. The fire, known as the Natick Fire, initially started Wednesday. More than 2,500 acres have burned. An estimated 70 firefighters are working to put it out. Now, it's not clear what started the fire, but we're told investigators on the site. The Nebraska National Forest is located in northwest Nebraska near the borders of South Dakota and Wyoming.
The Nebraska Humane Society expects it will soon get loaded with kittens. So to be better prepared, they will be hosting what's called a kitten shower. That event is scheduled for this upcoming Tuesday, May 9th. The Nebraska Humane Society recently put out a call for help on its Facebook page. They're trying to stock up on supplies for kittens at both the shelter and in foster care. We have a link in this story online at SiouxlandNews.com to help.
Well, this cat is talking about a different kind of showers and storms as we head into the rest of the night. Storm chances return to us in the wee early morning hours tomorrow. I'll have details on that next.
Your Siouxland weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Kat Taylor.
A little dark and dreary today, but some much needed water.
Yeah, some places got over 1.5 inches of rain, and there's more to come, folks. So if you missed out, don't worry, we have the next 7 days to get in some rain. Nelson Commercial Construction camera downtown Sioux City on top of the Ho-Chunk Center is quiet right now, 62 degrees and mostly cloudy. Southeast winds at 5 miles an hour. But look at the dew point. Remember, 2 days ago, this dew point was 28, and now it's 59, nearly 60. So we really have that moisture in place, both from the south wind we had yesterday and the storms that we had overnight. Right now, our Doppler radar is clear. There is not any rain on our radar right now, but we zoom out and you can see a complex of thunderstorms off to the west, and it's this complex of storms that is aiming for Siouxland as we head into the wee early morning hours. It's going to be well after midnight, more than likely. We still could see some severe weather, which I'll get into that here in a few minutes, but the big reason why we've been having these storms is this what we call stationary front. Basically, it's a boundary between warm air and cooler air, and that boundary will fire off thunderstorms like it has been. It's going to be drifting around for the next 72 hours and firing off these thunderstorms, bringing us some great rain chances. This future radar showing that complex of storms making it into Siouxland around 3 o'clock in the morning, and then working its way to the east overnight. So we start the morning with maybe some leftover showers and storms from that complex there as it works its way out. And then tomorrow afternoon, another chance some showers and storms to pop up and move all the way off to the east by the late evening. And then we do it all again on Sunday, although Sunday I would say the chances are lower to actually see any storms, and I would say the better chance for storms on Sunday will be in the morning. So you can see how our storm chances kind of taper off on Sunday, Monday. Tuesday I would say maybe a 5 to 10% chance of some storms, so not quite none, but for the sake of this graphic I would say it's probably more accurate. But few storms on Wednesday, and then really seeing those scattered thunderstorms Thursday and Friday. Unfortunately, this time of year, anytime you get multi-days with storms, you have the chance for severe weather. Tonight, severe weather generally stays to our west, but we could maybe get a warning or two in northeast Nebraska. We have another chance for some severe thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. Again, 60-mile-an-hour winds, 1-inch hail, very low in severe weather threat. And again on Sunday, especially in the late afternoon and evening, that chance is small, but we could see some of those pop up. For tonight, 53 degrees, scattered storms staying warm. Tomorrow, a daytime high of 74 with those scattered storms. It's not going to be an all-day thing. We're going to have breaks in between those storm chances, but over the next 7 days, we have a return to the 80s. Storms pretty much every single day. Our next best chance for some really good water will be on Thursday and Friday of next week.
And we still need a lot of it. All right, thanks, Kat. Coming up in 5 minutes tonight at 10 o'clock.
A Central American country is dealing with another volcanic eruption, the latest from Guatemala in tonight's World Wrap. But first.
It's the eve of Britain's first coronation in 70 years. I'm Tina Kraus with how King Charles surprised well-wishers ahead of his crowning.
London is in a festive mood ahead of tomorrow's coronation of Britain's King Charles III.
The First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, is in London for the service. Prince Harry will also attend, though his wife Meghan decided not to come.
CBS News correspondent Tina Kraus has the latest from London.
Hip, hip, hooray! King Charles stopped to delight fans near Buckingham Palace the day before his historic coronation.
It's almost like he has like a golden aurora around him. Honestly, that's what it looks like.
Prince William, who is heir to the throne, and Princess Kate also greeted well-wishers as Britain prepares for a weekend of pomp and celebration.
God save our gracious King.
Crowds in London and viewers around the world will witness the first British coronation since 1953, when Queen Elizabeth II ascended to the throne.
I think the royal family are a symbol of unity for us as a country.
A royal procession will stretch for nearly a mile and a half through the streets here in central London, giving these crowds, some who've camped out for days, the opportunity to see their newly crowned king.
People from every country. We've spoken to so many people from all over the world. Just amazing.
Flowers are already in place at the Abbey for a ceremony filled with medieval traditions, including a centuries-old coronation chair.
The pageantry is just unique to this country.
This is what it's all about. This is what being British is about. This is what we do.
King Charles will be anointed with oil and will receive the orb and scepter, the traditional symbols of the monarch, and his wife Camilla will be crowned as queen. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
And CBS News coverage of the coronation will begin tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. Siouxland time.
Ash is raining down on Guatemala City as the volcano of fire erupts. The ash clouds could affect as many as 100,000 people living in outlying communities. The more than 12,000-foot tall volcano is one of the most active in Central America. It's capable of burying towns in ash, rock, mud, and debris. The eruption in 2018 killed hundreds of people.
Thanks, Katie. Coming up next in sports, we're less than 24 hours away from the Nebraska District Final featuring the South Sioux City boys soccer team. Plus, the Twins continue to work their way through the division, making the trip to Cleveland for the weekend. It's all ahead. Right after this.
Friday Favorites is sponsored by Bally Bet.
With our partners at Bally Bet, it's time for your Friday Favorites. Formula One heads to the United States this weekend for the first of 3 U.S. races this season. After a disappointing third place last week, after qualifying on pole, Charles Leclerc looks for his revenge against the Red Bulls. Arguably F1's best driver ever, Lewis Hamilton, is still in search of his first win of the season. And after an offensive showdown in Game 1 with 10 goals scored, the Oilers will once again see if they can slow down the Vegas offense, which has proven to be a difficult task in T-Mobile Arena. A frustrated Oilers team will look for a more balanced offensive back this game after a stellar 4-goal performance by Leon Draisaitl in the 6-4 Game 1 loss. We'll see you after the weekend for your Monday Misses.
Friday Favorites is sponsored by Bally Bet. Online gaming is legal in Iowa.
Siouxland Sports with Sports Director Alex Northcutt.
Good evening, Siouxland sports fans. The second official day of the GPAC baseball tournament is in the books, with all 3 local schools playing in 1, if not 2, elimination games earlier this evening. Let's walk you through the full scoreboard as we begin. Earlier this afternoon, Briar Cliff held off Jamestown by a final of 6-5 to avoid elimination. Morningside outlasting Northwestern. The Red Raiders done. Mustangs advance with a 5-4 victory. Briar Cliff got a rematch with the number 1 seed in the tournament, Doane. They lost 15-1 yesterday. And not a good result again. The Chargers falling out of the tournament with a 16-0 loss to the top seed. Doane punching their ticket to the championship series. Then Morningside staying alive. They get a rematch with Midland, and they scored several runs in the 6th inning and beyond. A couple of home runs from Jason Willers and Alex Calabrese. 9-6 in favor of the Mustangs. So that means Morningside's going to take on Concordia tomorrow at noon for the right to go to the championship series. Well, they've been one of the top groups on the pitch all season long, and now the South Sioux City boys soccer team has the opportunity to punch their ticket to this year's state tournament. Tomorrow morning, the Cardinal Athletic Complex will be a primetime location for postseason soccer, as South Sioux City will be hosting the NSAA B3 District Championship game. With a record of 13-3, the Cardinals have earned the number 3 seed in their class, set to take on the 14 seed from Crete High School. Admission to Saturday's game will be $6. Kickoff scheduled for 11 o'clock. Twins finished their series in Chicago holding off a sweep. They now continue their way through the AL Central, taking on the Cleveland Guardians in a pitcher's duel. Max Kepler breaks the scoreless tie with a 2-run shot to make it 2-0. The 7th inning, Jorge Polanco is going to grab a hold of this one, sends it right down the first base line, but an impressive play by first baseman for the Guardians, Josh Naylor, able to hold off an extra base hit from Polanco. We go to the 9th inning, still 2-0. The closer, Duran, and he gets Naylor on a check swing, and that's your game. So an impressive pitching performance from the Minnesota staff as they take game 1 over the Guardians, get a little life back in them with a 2-0 victory over Cleveland. We're going to stay put in the state of Ohio. Let's go to Cincinnati. The White Sox taking on the Reds. We begin things up in the 4th inning. Reds already up 2-0. Nick Senzel makes it 3-0. He's been hot for the Reds. 5th inning, though, Elvis Andrus ties it up with one swing of the bat. Just grabs a hold of this one, and that one's out of the park, no question. And we're tied up at 3. Jonathan India, though, in the bottom half of the 5th, is going to give Cincinnati the lead back. Dead center shot, makes it 4-3. But then in the 6th inning, Chicago, we saw this a couple of times in their series against Minnesota, and they find another answer with the long ball. Luis Robert Jr., 3 hits in the game. Chicago leads off their series on the road with a 5-4 victory over the Reds. And we mentioned it earlier this evening, but what an opportunity and what a day for Matt Mervis for the Chicago Cubs being called up from AAA Iowa. We'll get to him in just a second. Chicago taking on Miami at home at Wrigley Field. Something about Friday afternoon at Wrigley Field and the Cubs winning. First inning, Seiya Suzuki, the RBI single. 5th inning, Ian Happ makes it 3-0. Cubs rolling early. Let's get back to Mr. Mervis in the 8th. Yet to record a hit. His MLB debut, well, there it is, and it's a big one. Brings around Bellinger to score. Makes it 4-1. First MLB game, first MLB hit, and it's an RBI late in the contest for Mr. Mervis. Tip of the cap. Justin Steele, though, on the mound for Chicago. 7 full innings of work, 6 hits, 4 strikeouts. Cubs start the series off with a win, 4-1. Let's go to Big Ten baseball. Iowa and Nebraska in action. The Huskers on the road taking on 23rd ranked Maryland and the top team in the Big Ten Conference and falling by a final of 8-4. The Bats in Iowa City, they were rolling. Iowa takes down Ohio State, leading off a series. Again, they've got several games coming up later this month at home. They start things off with Ohio State with a 16-9 victory. That'll wrap it up for our time for sports. We'll take a quick commercial break. When we come back, final check of your weather forecast.
Don't forget the umbrella this weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a rainy one tomorrow, possibly the first half of the day Sunday as well. Not an all-day rain, but some good thunderstorm chances. Start to lighten up a little bit at the beginning of the week, but we have another chance at some really good meaningful water again on Thursday and Friday. Otherwise, temperatures well above normal for this time of year, around 80.
Finally tonight, the President and Vice President celebrated Cinco de Mayo with an unannounced lunch stop at a Washington, D.C. taco shop.
President Biden ordered a chicken quesadilla and churros along with a bunch of tacos for White House staff, and he paid in cash.
The leaders took pictures with the workers and they chatted with guests in the restaurant as well.
Now, unlike years past, the White House did not announce plans to host a Cinco de Mayo event this year.
No, they're paying with his own money.
I mean, I'll just take the churros at this point.
That's the best
Dessert?
part of the
Anyone?
day. Yeah. Sounds great. Good night.